Last I checked, and it might just be me, it seemed like my property taxes went up a lot more than 2%. Considering, I believe they went up 3.5. If you look at 3.5 percentage points of all the properties in town and add up that money, that's quite a substantial sum. It runs into the millions. I'm just wondering, as a result of that, why there's not enough for the police.
That all
Now,
doesn't come to Pennsauken.
I'm sorry?
That tax increase doesn't come to the municipality 100%. You have a certain percentage that goes to the Camden County, which is, I believe, the total taxes. If I'm not mistaken, on your tax bill, if you look, there's a pie chart. And that pie chart shows you of the total taxes you pay, there's X amount that goes to school, there's X amount that goes to the garbage, there is X amount that goes to the county, and then there's approximately 24% of your total tax bill we actually get to run the town.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's gotta be 2 or 3 million, based on the increase additional. I travel around the country for work, and I rarely hear about, an example of where a town is raising taxes to such a degree and laying off police officers. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I would also like to further answer your question. In the last 3 years that I've been involved with working closely with Ed and Ron on the budget, we have been approximately a little over $2 million, $2.4 million of cuts that have been laid upon us, rightfully so, you know what I mean, because everything's got to get into control. And, you know, we've been dealing and cutting back in, you know, those funds, you know, are kind of dictated, those cuts were dictated to us and for us to deal with the ramifications. Last year, if you remember from our meeting, we got a surprise $600,000 excise pension bill. We paid our pension costs. Never missed a pension contribution for the police, the firemen, never missed a pension. We got a bill for $600,000 because the pension fund was underfunded. Not by Christie. He's just one of many in a line. You had Whitman, Christie, Corzine. They all created that particular problem. But the trickle-down theory, which flows down and causes that, we got the burden of that. And we fully expect that to happen again. Unfortunately, if we didn't have to do that, last year, I believe, from the township side, okay, we would have had a 0% increase on our piece of the pie back to our constituents. Zero.
When do you feel it's going to happen again?
As far as zero,
Another payment?
your guess is good as mine. You know, I mean, that could, you know, we find out, you know, at the 11th hour, there's nothing that is mandated that they give us a heads up or tell us, oh, geez, here comes a bill that you didn't expect. It comes down in one fell swoop, and then it's scurry time. You know, we look at, you know, every avenue that we possibly can. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we could certainly, you know, solve this problem real easy and say, you know what, okay, from the police standpoint, we're just going to fine $400,000 or $500,000, or we can just kind of turn that into, you know, a tax increase. We're trying to get a balancing act here and saying, geez, if we can kind of work together, okay, and find various ways, whether we're not in violation of the contract, and the people work with us like they have in the past, and we fully expect them to do it in the future, you know, we can ride these waves, okay, and not pass on that excessive amount to the taxpayer. I mean, it's a double-edged sword here. If we raise the taxes, you know, everybody's up in arms, and if, you know, if we don't have the funds to do something, you know, to solidify, you know, employment of something that is badly needed and absolutely a priority of ours, you know, it's a, you know, you can't win in those situations. So we're praying that, you know, the cooperative spirit that we've had, okay, with the police, with the firemen, with the ASC community continues. It's worked in the past. I have no reason to believe it won't work in the future. And that's our goal.
Does anyone else have any questions related to this?
Christina Rebellis, 2617 Burlington Road. I think since like 1979, there's supposed to be in the township ordinance 93 officers. I was wondering how many you have now, and what you did with the money that's saved from knocking them down.
Okay, Mr. Grasky, you want to?
We have 88 officers now. There's 5 officers that have retired. And with that 5 officers, we were able to save $216,000 that we didn't put here. If those 5 officers were here, I think the township committee may be talking of maybe 12 officers being laid off.
Okay, and what happened to the one that passed away a year ago or two? Would that save money, or did you replace him?
No, with the number I have here, if I would have made the full contingent up to 93.
Okay, and also, if you do lay off these officers, I had to take my kid out of Catholic school to go to public school. The only reason why I did that was because the officers were in the school. I would have never done it if they were not in the school. Do you plan on taking them officers out of the school if they get retired or whatever?
Well, we don't decide where the officers are deployed up to the police administration. So if we need officers on the street, I would assume that they might be taken out of the school.
Okay, well, I would like to know how many of you have small children under the age of 13? And have you been in the school system lately? I'm not, the teachers are great, but I'm just saying, I feel that they need the officers. That's the only reason why my child's in there. And I
Your
think
child in the high school or the middle school?
intermediate school.
Okay, there's, yeah, we do have the.
Yes, you do.
We have a spillover.
And
from the
I
middle school
feel
over to-
very safe with them in there. That's the only reason.
Well, I don't know if you were here for the whole meeting, but
I was.
our point is, we're trying to keep all the officers. We don't want to lay anybody off, okay? Because the civil service rules this, that, whatever. If the potential is going to happen that we might have to do a layoff, we have to notify civil service, then we have to notify the people that are in question, whether they're police officers or whether they're part of the ASME. We're just going through the program. Our ultimate goal here is not to lay anybody off, okay? And I think our past experience in helping out and working out with the police department and our other departments to try to keep as many people on the street as possible, I think that's going to help us out with this. I really do. You're welcome. Thank you for coming up with this. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Rich Headley, 1751 Hillcrest. What's the number dollar-wise short, starting in January, in other words, you're going to have a shortfall. What kind of dollars are we talking about?
All right, Mr. Grasky, give them the numbers.
The number that we had come up with overall for all the unions and the people here was about $250,000. However, it's skewed because the number is based upon last year's sellback, okay? What we've asked for was that if unions were allowed to sell back the maximum amount that's in their contract, it's a staggering amount. With the police alone, it's $1 million. So if the number was down to what they did last year and they came off it a little bit more, which I think is $40,000 for the superiors and about $85,000 for the FOP, we don't have a problem. It's not an easy thing. They're not easy numbers, but that's just the way it is. What we're hoping for is, we haven't heard back from the FOP, the SOA yet, or the ASME people of how much time they're selling back. Until we have that, then we can make a determination of what's going to happen and talk to them again. That's why we still have till December 1st.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else?
Kelly Harrigan, 1724 Hollinshed Avenue. It's a comment. No one should be able to sell back unused time off. No one. Not the police, not Public Works, not our municipal employees. If you don't use it, you lose it. That's what happens in the normal world. And no one should be able to sell back unused time. There are so many people here that are unemployed. We're losing our houses. Our taxes went up. I've lived here for 23 years in this town, and I've watched my taxes double. I've watched services decrease, and I'm listening to stuff that I just don't even believe. I've worked on John Tipton Boulevard for 5 years, and the plant closed. And the reason that the owner gave me is because of New Jersey taxes, not necessarily Pennsauken. But it's unrealistic to listen to this and to think that we're gonna lose, police officers or just my house. And my taxes went up by $85 this year. And I'm out of a job, and I'm listening to somebody say that they're gonna sell back $40,000. That was more than what I made. And you're telling me that this is an issue? This is not an issue. This is something that should just be given into because we are going to lose our homes, and then there's nobody gonna live here. And that should include municipal employees as well, not just the police, but everybody that works in this town. If you wanna save jobs, you have to give up perks that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Here, here. I just want to, on the non-union side of things, municipal employees are capped at 5 days of sellback. That has been reduced over the years. I'm assuming, and I don't want to start a war with the unions, this, that, whatever, but under the governor, under the economic condition, and when contracts expire, I don't think that you'll see that same type of thing there. That's an assumption. I can't get it. I'm getting hit by the solicitor. I can't comment on that. But get the
My
drift.
husband can't take off for work or has weekends off. We have a family too.
Zero, I'm sorry.
We have a family.
Excuse me, ladies, you could do that outside. Just no questions in here. There's reasons on both sides of the fence, but we have to deal with what we can handle here.
This is Joanne Gordon again, 8,000 Wyndham Road. I will come in defense of you. I was a nurse for 40 years. We were always allowed to sell back our time because it was hard to get off. Okay, so we were allowed to sell back 40 hours of time. Okay, it's not just you guys, it's not just the police or anything else. My concern was just with the police. And we are seeing an increase of crime.
We are trying to get a balance with all these issues. And before the solicitor kicks me, I can't go any
Well,
further.
he told me to come up, so I did. I saw him. Wait for you.
We don't want anybody not to ask a question. Any other questions? Please.
Keep all 5768 Irving Avenue. The sellback is not really a problem because they're keeping their time. People can't get off. My guys are coming in, they can't get sick days because, oh, we're understaffed, can't get sick days. If they run out of time, they're dead. We're having a problem. So it's not a big deal. Highway department has no time back. There's so many certain areas. When they got floating holidays, they're working them. They got to start taking them, or else, that's why they're getting this accumulated time. So that's one thing we've been talking and trying. This lady, I'm sorry she's gonna lose her house, but if we're accumulating all this time, eventually we lose it after so many years. So they gotta, use it. We can't use it. So that's why they want to sell it. And then with the threats coming out, like we're gonna lay off this and we're gonna lay off that, people are dumping all the time now. Because we tell dispatch, okay, usually going to the county, but that's floating around. It's not talking contracts. They're going to the county, so sell everything. When you sell it, if you were done, you're done. You're done. This is your last year, and you got 50 days. You're taking your money, right, Jack? So this is the whole process.
We're just trying to balance everything.
I understand
We're
that,
trying
but
to solve the problem.
I feel bad that she's going to lose her house, but this is a problem that's been going back 30 years without the grab of money.
But, listen, I think this shows that the tough economic situation, listen, we're more fiscally responsible, in my opinion,